Well, in a last-minute attempt to win support for her plan, May announced she would step down from the top job if her Brexit deal is passed. All right, for more on this, we have our Europe correspondent, Simon McGregor-Wood, who is in London, and Kevin Osbeck following the story from Brussels. Simon, let's cross over to you first. So none of the MPs got a majority. Does that mean the process has failed?
Well, at first glance, I think a lot of people were hoping, given the Brexit fatigue and frustration that has set in over recent weeks and months, with how this process has dragged on, that we would get tonight some kind of clarity, some quick idea around which a majority of MPs could gather some magic solution to push the Brexit process forward from its current state of impasse. We didn't get that, so I think the initial reaction was one of, oh no, now what? But the dust is beginning to settle. Those who are behind this particular idea of so-called indicative votes are reminding us that they never expected one idea to emerge victorious on the first night, and they want to have another go at selecting some of the closest votes for a debate and another vote, a follow-up, if you like, on Monday. I think it's significant to notice that the proposal to have a new customs union arrangement with the European Union was defeated only by 8 votes. That's pretty close. And perhaps more surprisingly even, the proposal that suggests that any final deal be offered to the public in a second so-called confirmatory referendum was only defeated by about 27 votes, I think. That's, again, a pretty close one. And both of those ideas got more votes in favour of them than people voted for Theresa May's deal on the first and second time as she tried to get it through the House of Commons. So it's been knocked back, this process. It didn't provide any quick solutions, but I don't think it's dead in the water. MPs are hoping to come back and refine it, pick out the favourite ideas that were only defeated by small margins and try and get majority for them early next week.
So, Simon, where does that put Theresa May's deal? Has her promise to resign done enough to persuade MPs to change their minds?
Well, her deal is definitely still in play. It is a condition, don't forget, that the Europeans set in order for the UK to get an extended Brexit negotiating period. So, in a sense, she's obliged to have another go. In the immediate aftermath of her promise to resign at some point in the summer, we think there was a flurry of MPs who'd previously been dead against the deal, who came out and were quite prepared to say, I'm going to change my mind and get behind the deal. Those MPs included big-hitting Brexiteers, people like the former Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson and Jacob Rees-Mogg, the stars, if you like, of the hard Brexit movement. So people began to think, hello, this is changing. But it then became clear that there were still 20 or 30 Conservative MPs who were holding out and said, regardless of what she does, I'm still going to vote against the deal in principle. And then later in the evening, a bit of a killer blow from the DUP, that's the small Irish party from Northern Ireland that is in effectively a kind of coalition with the Theresa May's government. They said that they would still be voting against it as the deal stands. So after a flurry of optimism, people were knocked back. She is still pushing it. She still has to do it. She still has to bring it to a vote, probably on Friday, but it's not looking great for her.
All right, Simon McGregor-Wood in London, appreciate you being with us. I want to cross over to Kevin Osbeck, who is following the developments out of the EU in Brussels. Kevin, the EU has been begging the UK for answers, but do you think that they're going to get any clarity now from the results of tonight's votes?
No, we may be a few steps closer to that, but still no clarity just yet. And you're not kidding when we say that EU leaders have been begging the UK about this. In the eyes of the EU, Brussels has given the UK, has given Theresa May, MPs there, everything it can possibly give. It has to keep that border in Ireland open, so that's why the withdrawal agreement is what it is. That divorce deal is not open to being renegotiated here in Brussels. But really, what the EU desperately wants is just for UK MPs to come to consensus around a type of Brexit that they can support. The line from Brussels a long time now has been, we've heard from UK MPs what they don't want. Now it's time for them to tell us what kind of Brexit they do want. And as you saw in those string of votes tonight, we're still not there yet.
So what does the EU do from here, Kevin?
I think for right now, everyone in the EU, especially those EU leaders, are just going to be staying on the edge of their seats. And even though when you look at those votes tonight, the prospect of a no-deal Brexit was overwhelmingly voted down by UK MPs. So clearly, Westminster doesn't want to go down that route. But here in Brussels, the worry is it's so politically chaotic right now in the UK, and there's so little time left. I mean, we're just 2 weeks away now until April 12th. So the concern here is, well, what if there is not a consensus in this short amount of time? Is the UK going to spiral and crash out of the EU simply because it cannot agree on a deal that it does want? So that's the concern now in Brussels. And that's why just this week, the Commission finished no-deal Brexit plans. There's been a lot of coordination between Brussels and EU capitals to make sure all of those preps are being completed, because that truly is a concern now that just essentially by accident, the UK could leave without a deal because it's just so much political turmoil there right now.
All right, Kevin Osbeck in Brussels. Appreciate you being with us. Thanks for that.